Hello, I'm going to introduce you to Diffuse. I'm Renzo Perez-Acosta. I want to curb bicycle theft in New York City by declining the stolen bike and bike parts market. 100,000 bikes are stolen annually in New York City alone. The most trusted brand of anti-theft product is Kryptonite, and it has a warranty. Uh, do not read the whole thing because I'm going to sum this up for you. If your bike is stolen from anywhere in the U.S. and Europe, Kryptonite will pay for your stolen bike for up to $4,500. They make it clear that the one place that doesn't have the warranty in all their products is New York City. This is something all cyclists in New York deal with because you hear everyone telling you to get a good lock. They claim, with the link that's highlighted in red, that this will send you to a page directly with their products that have a warranty in New York City, but when you click the link, this page does not exist, nor the products. New York City is that notorious in the bicycle world. Companies are near in denial. So this journey all began when I had my own bike stolen, followed by my seat and front wheel stolen off my new bike. It was really frustrating hearing the only way to really address the problem was to get the thickest and most expensive bike lock. This advice came from cyclists, websites, and bike shops. The tricky part was that the act of bike theft is hard to distinguish and to know for certain who was in fact stealing or if the bike and bike parts were being sold was rightfully owned by the owner. I went to places where the stolen bike and bike parts most likely ended up: flea markets, Craigslist, eBay, and pawn shops. But they were dead ends. Once stolen bikes and bike parts reached those places, it was way too late to determine if they were stolen because there was no working system to verify ownership. Registration was working with guns, cars, and artwork, but not with bikes. Why is that? There's a reason. It was done to death, and it has not made any changes. There are just so many bike registries. An example, if you've had your bike stolen and were lucky enough for the police department to recover it, they would check their database to verify registration, but since each police department has their own database, chances are you've not registered to all of them, and unfortunately, without registration, the bike would be auctioned and sold off. There was no unifying action being taken or enforced. So registration has proven a strong way theft can be curbed. I asked myself, how can I leverage the mechanisms and values of registration into a more tangible human scale utility? What's the primitive version? How can I make this the most impact? Because I had no way to interact with bike thieves or the opportunity to, I wanted to emulate their experience. I bought the most popular product people use to lock up their bikes, the heavy-duty Level 9 lock chain by Kryptonite, their most secure lock to date. And I decided to steal my own bike in a public bike parking space. I needed to use the tools a professional bike thieves use, the angler grinder, and I stole my bike. Surprisingly, it was really easy. Literally took 23 seconds. 23 seconds to cut through a $100 chain. And not only was it easy, on top of that, no one said anything. This experience was just too easy, and this happened in SVA. To better understand how cyclists and the community felt about the current system, I created a short survey. And this ended up getting 214 cyclists involved, and introductions to bike theft experts. Since 82% of them experienced a form of bike theft, whether it was part of a whole bike, it was very interesting to read their experiences and if they were willing to do something about it. When asked, would you buy a stolen bike part, 95% of them said no, because 82% of them themselves have been a victim of bike theft. If people actively knew something was stolen, which would ultimately create a filter in the market and then potentially decrease the need, what can I create that tells the buyer that it is stolen? How could I stay in the secondhand bike market? How about highlighting the act of theft? How about doing so with paint? So after coming up with the concept, I designed a device that shoots paint when an act of theft is occurring. Why did I name it Diffuse? Because you have to properly follow a set of steps in order to diffuse and open the product without causing an exertion of paint to remove your wheel. This paint exertion is caused by a paint bomb that's in the slide shown in the middle. The paint is pressurized in a medical tube, and it has two ends that are closed by pins. Diffuse is attached by being connected to the nut and bolt that holds your wheel in place. One end of the paint bomb is connected between the nut and bolt. Even attempting to kicking or ripping it out causes pain exertion. Diffuse sits between the nut and frame, which are both attached to the bolt very securely. So after some prototypes and modifications, Diffuse came to life. This paint is a catalyst that amplifies those instances of theft, highlighted the actions otherwise unexposed, and simultaneously trigger a whistle-blowing component. The ability for paint to dispense when a bike part is stolen can create this tainting that can decrease the secondhand bike market. Because bike part thefts happen even more commonly than a complete bike, because of the accessibility, I chose to focus on the front wheel because it's easy to steal off a bike. You only need a wrench. So this device creates evidence that an act of theft has occurred, establishing a sense of accountability between the thief and other cyclists in the community. The paint plays a role and can announce to the potential buyer, "I was stolen," and steer the decision-making process on the buyer's part to avoid stolen parts. This product can be useful in informing bikers in changing where they could park their bikes before the paint is washed off the scene of the crime. Also raising awareness in bike theft. So to learn how the community felt about Diffuse, I created and tested working prototypes and staged thefts and observed the pedestrians' reaction to the paint and bike theft, which allowed me to see how the public reacts to Diffuse, emulating a person stealing a wheel with the paint exerting out. The paint grabbed attention. Some stood in there in awe, trying to figure out what just happened for minutes. Why was there paint? What is this device here? And is this paint dispensed? So given no background information, I asked people what they thought in the form of another survey. So my survey was taken in person and online, and it went viral and reached people internationally. My results very least enlightened the cycling community with the need for a different take on curbing bike theft. People were excited, and 2,100 survey responses in 12 hours. So some of them I asked physically, but the chunk from the online popularity. It opened my eyes to the need for innovation in this realm, and the criticism drove innovative design solutions implemented in my product. 59% of the 2,100 said that they believed the act they witnessed was a negative one without any knowledge of Diffuse and what it does. And 83% claimed they would actively do something, from yelling at the thief to summoning the proper authorities, such as the police. When I told them this product shoots paint, when it is in the process of being robbed, 93% claimed they would be proactive. They felt strongly because 86% of these survey takers were current bike theft victims. And I've shown bike shops and authorized bike dealers, and more than half claim they could see this in their shelves as an existing product. So this product has the potential to change the way we see bike theft. Literally takes this personal private problem into a public one, shared, to create change and cause proactive actions against it, which would otherwise not happen. If 95% claimed they wouldn't buy a bike part, then potentially from that 100,000 bikes stolen annually, it would decrease the sales for stolen bikes and bike parts, therefore decrease the need for secondhand stolen bike parts. Lastly, I want to point out that by simply painting something, change could happen. So at the moment, I'm contacting and partnering with popular existing bike lock companies such as Kryptonite to implement this paint feature to access to their million customers in New York City. This feature could be in their U-locks and chains. So those 100,000 bikes stolen have the potential to be this year's 100,000 public warnings and deterrent of theft highlighted. Thank you.